the only way to face that maybe is trying to create synergies, is trying to listen to ourselves, is trying to create boundaries, links, that where we can, establish communication channels, where you can exchange ideas, where you can exchange efforts and energies, so that we can, collectively arrange new solutions, and solutions that are fit to our, let's say, human lifestyle, that are fit to our sensitive, that are fitting these ideas, these proposals to our possible meaning of existence. So meaning that we need another different lifestyle, we need another kind of solutions, and we need to feel that we are more that we are feeling respected by the rules, that we are, somehow controlling the conditions of our lives, that we are not only working towards accumulation of something, but we are mainly working towards our own purpose, the well-being of our society, and the liberty of our community. So I do, trust and believe in this kind of work, in this kind of projects, because I think it can create, and it should create, somehow, the further steps for a better society in the future. So thank you very much for your work, and welcome once again, and good work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, José, for this introduction, and welcome everyone to the final event of the SSE VET2 project, aimed at promote social solidarity economy in Europe through the training of trainers. And of course, I will just make a brief review of today's agenda. So we will start with a project presentation, actually using one of the products of this project, a video that will explain the whole process that we are creating and living since 2018. Then we will have one of our speakers of today, Roberto Di Melio from International Labour Organization, and this presentation will be connected to one of the other products of our project that we want to show you today, that it is the action plan for affirming social solidarity economy in trainers' curricula. And after that, we will have our working groups, 4 working groups. Here, I will call your special attention, because later on, we will ask you in which working group you want to participate based on information that I will provide you, and we will put in the chat as well. So for now, I will just share the video. I hope it worked well. We tried this, and I also hope that you enjoyed this presentation.
Do you know what the social solidarity economy is?
Γνωρίζετε την κοινωνική αλληλεγγύη οικονομία?
Cantieri sociale solidarice economie.
Est-ce que vous connaissez l'économie sociale et solidaire?
Sapete che cos'è l'economia sociale e solidale?
Este economia socială și solidară.
Savez-vous ce qu'est l'économie sociale et
Sabes
solidaire?
que é economia social solidária?
An economy based on care, social justice, workplace democracy, ecological and responsible production and consumption, community building. It is spreading all over the world. Repest Europe is a network of networks that promotes solidarity economy throughout Europe.
For Repest Europe and its members, training is a key element of this development. The general observation within the network is the lack of training dedicated to the solidarity-based economy.
In order to fill this gap, UPDESH, the leading partner from Portugal, invited Repest and 6 European organizations to conduct a study on IVET and SSE from 2016 to 2018 within the framework of Erasmus+.
And it showed that SSE was little or absent from initial and continuing education and the need to align SSE and trainers' practices and methodologies.
After, a second project was funded by Europe to design a training of trainers, including contents and methodologies specific to SSE.
The second project brought together 6 member countries and REPES Europe. The whole process is based on the principle of participatory action research, with a continuous exchange between the partners and the responsibility of the phases by the partners in shifts.
The first round was a transnational meeting that CRIES hosted in Timișoara. The first project meeting was dedicated to coordinate general agreement to make sure all partners have a common vision and share the same specific information.
First stage, inventory of skills as perceived by the trainers in each country, which was compiled.
The second meeting in Athens. DOC presents the trainer skills mapping and welcomes the group to consider the structure of training in action course.
In Bergamo, the training course has been tested in its form of participatory action research, based on a framework developed by Solidarius and TechNet.
Once tested and revised, this course is offered to trainers in each country, wherever they are. It contains 8 days, including field visits, and it is designed to be adapted to each context.
In the Portuguese case, we prepared field visits based on research questions that our trainees said they want to see clarified during the training. Therefore, we had field visits to agricultural organizations, other more related with education, the vet system, and other visits to cooperatives. In all field visits, we had a framework to support the discussion and the questions we wanted to ask to the stakeholders invited to join us in these visits.
One of our study visits was organized in a garden near to Timișoara. We are visiting here a community-supported agriculture project. It was a very good opportunity for us to talk with consumer and producer to understand better this model. After our visit and lunchtime, when we spent a great time together, we discussed how kind of activities we can develop in order to go to students in school and to talk about this kind of initiative.
Elsewhere, researchers were invited to work with the trainees about the specificity of competencies in SSE. During the evaluation session of the training series, the trainees validated both the method and the content.
Das Training fand ich sehr gut, weil ich die Methoden, die ich gelernt habe, für den Aufbau eines Stadtteilbetriebes gut gebrauchen konnte.
The whole process has been so inspiring. Experiencing the very values and principle of SSE, which we did during the training, is most definitely the best way to be able to teach them afterwards.
This was a very unique training experience because it was hands-on and because the learning was shared with what became a real community that I'm very happy and proud to be a part of.
Between the participants, the trainers, the facilitators, we did create a really nice cooperative atmosphere that allowed for us to really live up by the standards and the values of the social solidarity economy while learning about it.
Let's multiply training, especially for young people, in order to develop SSE as the economy of the future.
Get in contact with us.
Contactă-nos.
Επικοινωνήστε μαζί μας.
Punem legătura.
Nehmt Kontakt zu uns auf.
Restiamo in contatto.
So this is a briefing of our activities during the last 3 years, mainly on training. And now could continue this discussion on training and development of skills for trainers and within the trainees as well. We have our first speaker of today, Roberto Di Meglio. Roberto Di Meglio is a senior specialist at International Labour Organization in Geneva. He mainly works on local development and social and solidarity economy. He began his career with the ILO in 1989, working on cooperatives and local development in many countries, such as Argentina, Bolivia, Ecuador. From 1999 to 2003, he was assigned to ILO in Geneva, where he coordinated the activities of the local economic development program for Africa, Asia, Latin America, and Europe. And he is with us today. So thank you so much for joining us. And now the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Very well.
Thank you, Sophia, for this kind of introduction. Thank you to RIPES Europe for inviting me, especially to Laura Frere. I'm very pleased to collaborate with RIPES. I consider RIPES a fundamental ally in the work of promotion, dissemination of knowledge, and recognition of the SSE at global level. I was asked to give a short overview on why social and solidarity economy is important to ILO. 5 minutes. ILO has been working on the SSE, particularly on cooperatives, since its foundation. More recently, although it's not an official definition, a regional conference in 2009 defined the social and solidarity economy as a concept designating enterprises and organizations, in particular cooperatives, mutual benefit society, association, foundation, and social enterprises, which have the specific feature of producing goods, services, and knowledge while pursuing both economic and social aims and fostering solidarity. As I said, it's not an official definition, but we use this for many purposes. At the same conference, an action plan was agreed, which, among others, initiated annual events for the exchange of experiences and methodologies on SSE, known as Ilo Academies. The academies started in 2010 with the first edition, and the next one will be in November in Portugal, the 12th edition. This is an example of an initiative. There are others taken by the ILO on SSE, and this initiative happens because of the solicitation we receive from member states. Please remember that in 2009, we were in the midst of a very serious economic crisis, and governments were exploring ways to innovate policies regarding job creation and inclusion in general. Crisis then and crisis now. As the speaker at the beginning mentioned, Jose Queiroz, we need another paradigm of production and consumption. And I completely agree with this affirmation. Important to note that at the beginning of 2012, we create at the ILO the shared knowledge platform Collective Brain. You can find a lot of information regarding the work done so far. I cannot give more details, but you can navigate in that website. That there's plenty of information. In 2013, the ILO, together with other UN organizations, created a UN Task Force on Social and Solidarity Economy, with the aim of promoting visibility, recognition, knowledge, and coordination. The task force, currently chaired by the ILO, has a dedicated web page, which I think will be of great interest for those who wish to learn more about. RIPES, of course, is an observer and regularly participate in the meetings every 2 months Currently, there are 17 members, UN members, and about as many from civil society. In recent years, ILO has also implemented a number of research project, technical cooperation project, capacity building project funded by various countries. You can find more information on this on the collective brain or in the official ILO website. You have to look to the COP unit. Several countries have benefited from ILO support for the design of SSE policies. Just to give some example, Costa Rica, Cameroon, South Africa. And I'm mentioning this because it's important to say that one of the most important reasons why the ILO is involved in working on this is the request arriving from our constituents. As further evidence of the widespread interest in SSE, of course, there is also a number of countries that have developed and adopted policies on SSE. Of course, adopting policies is not enough, but is a starting point, important starting point. So the ILO moves primarily to respond to its constituents, governments, trade unions, and employers associations. But these responses are based on ILO's principles and values, and to respond to achieve the mission of the ILO. The main mission of the ILO is create decent work for women and men at global level. The ILO consider that the social and solidarity economy is an instrument with a great potential for creation of decent work. Although there is not much data on this, surveys conducted in some countries like Italy and Spain show encouraging data in this regard. Obviously, they cannot be considered automatically valid for other realities, and we need to work more on this, and we are doing so. The characteristic, principles, and value of SSE organization enterprise might make them a model for organizing the production of goods and services that is particularly suited for a people-centered labor agenda. I'm mentioning this because in 2019, the ILO adopted a declaration on the future of work that explicitly recognized the importance of the social and solidarity economy for the creation of decent work and for a people-centered labor agenda. Decent work is structured around 4 focus areas: social protection. First, social protection. You know that more than 70% of the world population does not have an adequate level of social protection. Right at work, this is another very important area of work for us. Social dialogue and social and solidarity economy here can play a very important role, giving voice to many producers that are not represented. And of course, job opportunities with inadequate wages. The situation in this sense is problematic, quite problematic. The social and solidarity economy, we consider, can be a tool to fill the gap that a society undergoing rapid and profound change, I'm thinking on digital and ecological transition, increasingly presents and respond to the need for innovative, inclusive, and sustainable policies. Just to conclude, I would say that another evidence of the increasing political interest in the social and solidarity economy is the decision of the ILO governing body this year to hold a general discussion on the social and solidarity economy at the next ILC International Labour Conference in June 2022. Finally, I would like also to stress the importance that the ILO gives to the social and solidarity economy with respect to the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. In particular, we believe that the need to localize the goals, the SDGs, as repeatedly stated in the 2030 Agenda, can receive an important contribution from the SSE organization and enterprises, which by their nature are very locally rooted organizations, which much more attention to the impact on the territories where they operate. Well, I don't know if I give a complete overview of the what the ILO is doing, but I would in particular stress the fact that SSE, social and solidarity economy, is an important topic in our organization, and in the UN is receiving an increasingly interest. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Roberto. I just will pick it up from here. Thank you for coming first, because you made a great effort, and that is much appreciated by everyone here to have heard you depicting the ILO activities. I know that you have to leave, so I'll be very short. Just to emphasize that the different areas of action of the ILO when it comes down to SSE, and particularly the different kind of trainings and advocacy that you've been working on, have been very precious and quite crucial for every, including European organization, and we're really looking forward, tightening the bonds. And we'll be discussing this for the upcoming 2 hours, and we'll make sure to send you all the information and to resume that conversation soon enough. I think that you have to go, and I don't want you to be late on,
I'm sorry I have to go, but I will very happy to receive information about the discussion that we will have. I wish all the success for this event. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Bye, Roberto.
Bye-bye.
Sophia, would you like to introduce Michaela?
Yeah, of course, I can do that. So, connected with the Roberto's presentation, where he emphasized the need for increase the political interest, we in our project had an important act of action related to advocacy. And for that, we created an European action plan that actually is very connected with Ilo activities, CEDEFOP activities, so this connection with European institutions. And then we also create different national action plans for affirming social solidarity economy in trainers' curricula. And these action plans have a common basis and then some specific measures for this context. And one of our partners, CRIES from Romania, here represented by Mihaela, will introduce you this process and the main activities and measures that we are proposing for the future. So Mihaela, thank you, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I just want to check with you that you hear me.
Yes,
perfect.
Yeah.
So I'll try to present the objective for our action plan. because you have some specific objectives, the inclusion of social solidarity, economy, content, and methodology in VET trainers' curricula, to recognize and certify the VET trainer skills and competencies in the social solidarity economy field, the visibility of social solidarity economy topics and approach in the national and European policies concerning vocational training, the recognition of social solidarity economy as a vector for social and economic change. This was a very important objective for us indeed, and the realization of initiatives for the promotion of social solidarity economy in VET. We defined 4 different target groups for our action plans: social solidarity economy actors, VET actors, young people, and policymakers. And as Sophia said, this project, this particular project, it's the second project that our consortium carry out about this subject of social solidarity economy in VET curriculum. And we started the process of development of action plans with a phase of co-evaluation of advocacy action plans that was developed in the previous project. And we observed some activities, actions, direction that different partners succeed in their own context. And I selected here for the presentation some examples. The green coalition of the regional government was convinced by our partner TechNet to support the social solidarity economy and its training in Germany. In Italy, Solidarius continue good collaboration with the institute entrusted by the Ministry of Labor on vocational training policies. The ABDES in Portugal succeed to present the project results and achievement to the National Agency for Qualification and Vocational Education. And in Romania, we organized in 2018 a caravan to promote social solidarity economy in VET schools. These are some examples of previous activities. For this particular action plans, we used a participative methodology, and we have 2 different levels of consultation. The main objectives and target group of this advocacy strategy were decided all together by the partners, but the activities, the stakeholders, the resources needed were identified at national level by each partners, involving in this process the training communities. For this purpose, more bilateral and collective meetings were organized this year in order to develop the advocacy action plan. We identified some common direction for our action plan, and I selected here some information. Some activities are common for different countries, different organizations, but some are specific. So one of our objectives is to disseminate information about training activities and social solidarity economy VET. And we'll organize different meetings. We'll use different online tools, dedicated newsletters, short articles to do this. In Romania, we like also to continue the caravan to promote social solidarity economy in schools and high schools. For example, ABDES and CRIES would like to work for a social campaign to promote social solidarity economy. ABDES also would like to develop an online platform to raise awareness and spread information on social solidarity economy, namely jobs, opportunity, participation, citizenship, ecological perspective, cultural diversity. And Solidarius and in Italy and CRIES in Romania, we'd like to involve VET trainers as volunteers and social solidarity events and markets, because in our experience was very important that trainers and trainees to have concrete experience and in social solidarity economy field. Another objective is to continue to pilot training activities that already was developed in context of this project. For all the partners, is obvious that you like to increase these training communities, inviting new members from different target groups. For us in our project, these training communities was very important because inviting different members from territories, you had the opportunity to be in contact with our territories, but also to learn each from others. We like to continue to organize pilot session on social solidarity economy, to adapt training content and to develop new training tools. For example, we mentioned here a guide to organize an internship in social solidarity economy organization. We like to continue to map territories that will benefit from social solidarity economy trainings. To organize internship in social solidarity economy organization, he's mentioned by CRIES and Solidarius, and to promote workshops about social solidarity economy, youth, education, and future of work, our partners ABDES. And the third objective is to the multiplication of training activities. We like to identify new resources to continue the training activities, to increase the area of training implementation. In this specific project, each partner involves 1 or 2 territories, but in future we like to increase the number of territories involved in the training. We like to integrate the training methodology in workplace. This is a proposition made by our partner DOC in Greece, to organize public events and conferences to promote social solidarity economy and VET, to organize a national hackathon by ABDES, to continue to organize research with academics on social solidarity economy skills and pedagogical method. This is a specific activities proposed by our partners MES in France. And another important aspect is to involve young people in action research, in particular in the collection of training needs, aims, and acquiring new skills in new job opportunity in the social solidarity economy field, is a proposition made by Solidarius. And you like to include new topics of the training proposal, in particular fashion, design, and furniture, food waste, healthy and sustainable food. Regarding the fourth target group, the policymakers, we like to increase the level of information and awareness about the importance to organize social solidarity economy training in vet schools. And we like, of course, to organize different meetings and to present the project, the results, our vision, to organize training, for example, for elective representative in the framework of mass action in the territories, an action proposed in France, to develop a network to advocate for social solidarity economy and VET. And we like to promote the innovation of VET curricula with social solidarity economy content in the state region conference, underlying the coherence of the proposal with the objective of 2030 agenda. And a specific issue regarding our strategy is to promote the role of social solidarity economy in active labor market policies at national level. And we like to raise awareness at the national level of institutions related to active labor policies, and to make specific proposal in the future planning for social European funds. So this is a very short selection about our work, and I will be available to answer if there are questions. Thank you, Sophia.
Thank you, Mihaela, for this great work systematizing so different and enriching action plans. As Mihaela said, if you had any questions, just to raise your hand or try to put in the chat. In the meanwhile, I put in the chat as well
the different working groups that we will have in a minute, in some minutes. So since some of our speakers have limited time, I will just present the working groups, then we will start. And if needed, to discuss the action plan, any other things that could be addressed during the working groups, for instance, or at the end, because we will have some minutes for more discussion. So we have great panelists, great moderators. We have 4 working groups for you, and you can decide in which working group you want to join, okay? So the first working group will be about skills for social solidarity economy. That was a big part of our project. And we will discuss the needed skills for this field and how to promote education and training options that are aligned with SSE principles. And here we will have Josette Combs from Mouvement pour l'Économie Solidaire, one of our partners, and she will have a conversation with Laura Offrev from RIPES Europe. Then another working group on formal and non-formal educational approaches, where we'll discuss different approaches that are in place right now with some concrete examples, and its links with the SSE field and the role of education for the social and economic transformation with Mr. E from United Nations Research Institute for Social Development and Drazen Sinleza from ZMAC, Good Economy Network. And this working group will be moderated by Gunther Lawrence from TechNet Berlin, one of the partners as well. The third working group will be about youth and SSE, mainly because this is a process that we are starting thinking about future generations. So of course, all the issues about youth are very important. And we will discuss the role of youth in this field, opportunities for activism, and the role that young people can have to set the trends for economic transformation, with Andrea Rodrigues from RIPES Europe and Ben Woko from Amani Tibera, and moderated by Chiara Bonifazi from Solidarius Italia. And lastly, not least, we have international cooperation. We discuss the possibilities for this kind of cooperation within SSE, having in mind the educational practice and how we can share good practices. Here with Celina Velades from Solidarity Economy Mexican Network and Mexican Solidarius Network, and Asna Hadawi from RIMES, the Moroccan Network of Solidarity Economy, and moderated by Jason Nardi from RIPES Europe. It's a lot of information, so skills for social solidarity economy, non-formal educational approach, youth and SSE, and international cooperation. I will open the rooms, okay? And now, in the bottom of your screen, you can see the option simultaneous room, breakout room, or the designation in your national language. And if you go there, you can choose in which room you want to enter, okay? And then you will be redirected to the working group room. And at the end, after 40 minutes, you will come back to this plenary session. So enjoy your working group and your discussions.
I'm not able to select my working group.
Okay, if anyone. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I can address you to the working room if you share it.
I would like to join with the working group 1. Can you help me? I don't know how to join in the working group 1, please.
Yes, working group 1. Okay, it's done.
Yes.
Hi, also me, I can't go to the working group.
Okay, in which working group do you want to be, Chiara?
3.
3? Okay, done.
Thank you.
I don't get into my own group, Sophia. I don't find the button there.
Done. See you there. So,
hi, Sophia. I can't get to my working group.
okay, you there. João, do you want to tell me where you want to go? Okay, João is not here. Sila, do you want to join a specific working group? So people is joining, is returning. I see some new faces from the past interaction. So hi to the ones that I didn't see before. Hi, Joanna. Nice to see you here. So I hope the working groups went well. Now we have a few minutes to share the discussion to the others because all the working groups are very, very interesting, but we can't have in all four groups at the same time. So we will start this sharing with working group 1, Skills for Social Solidarity Economy, and I will ask to Sofia Mora to share with us your discussion. Thank you.
Okay, so very briefly, of course, we were the working group 1, and Josette come from Mouvement pour l'économie solidaire. It's the French partner of our project, shared what was their process of the training in action in this project, SSE VET2, regarding the skills for social solidarity economy. So it was a quite interesting process involving trainers from France, and mainly what was the big outcome that could be shared was not so much a rigid table of skills and competencies, but much more agreed or information about the process they underwent with all the trainers, because it's all about the hows and the how we do it more than the what. So agreed that it's common, I mean, but also flexible enough to accommodate different contexts and different territories and different environments. So what happened was that the French partners gathered a group of trainers, and they collectively discussed and reflected what were the skills that were needed and that makes sense for SSE. And one of the founding questions was, should we go beyond the technical skills needed for a specific profession to explore and inquire about what are the skills that are needed to work differently, even in existing professions. So it's more about the how to do it. And then they underwent the exploration of these questions, and they organized a lot of different competencies that would be difficult to summarize. I just took note of some of them who are more contrasting or more refreshing in contrast to what is more usual. The critical thinking, so that's one of the founding and important skills and transversal competencies for people in the SSE. The way to work in collective and collaborative process, as well the skills to enable decision making that is according to the rules that are shared by everyone, and that avoid reproduction of dominant mechanisms of domination. And as well, I found it interesting, the skills to balance between personal and collective fulfillment and goals. So this tension and this potential as well. between the personal and the collective. And then they also went to share that their multiplier event where they shared their process in France was actually quite interesting, and there were people interested in this way of working and in these outcomes. The particular Institute for Social Workers that showed interest in actually reproducing and incorporating this experience in or the modules in their qualifying courses. So this has a resonance, I feel, in the territory and in people who are working and raising the same questions. And then finally, we had some interaction around questions and answers, where it came up the classical question: what is the SSE? What are we talking about? And then we, of course, again reinforced how it is important to not strive for a rigid and a stable concept, but of course to embrace the diversity and work based on common definitions of working groups. We did so in this project. We agreed on what was our common understanding between the several partners, and that's where we could work together from then on. But we highlighted democracy, ecological issues, social justice, gender, community and good living, and I mean, as well as the role of feminism to build this striving SSE. And then we ended up in, I think, a very beautiful and meaningful note about what are these transversal competencies that are needed for us to strive. And also we referred of how to be with others, how to know how to humanly interact between us, because that's the foundation for all the collective processes we need to undergo. So the word, respect and coherence was also one of our last words. So yeah, I think that was a bit what we shared in the first group.
Perfect. Thank you, Sophia, and thank you all the working group participants, of course. I don't know if anyone wants to raise a question, a comment. Otherwise, we can make the whole presentation and then come back if needed. Okay. So, working group 2 on non-formal and formal education approach. And I will pass the word to Mihaela to share with us.
Yes, thank you, Sophia. We have a very brief presentation made by Gunther regarding the particularities of methodology that you used in our project. And I will emphasize that theory should be proved by practice. Education should be based on the experience of students, and the learning calls for socially useful and sensible work. After that, we have two different intervention, a little bit in opposite, because one of our panelists said that non-formal education present the advantage that can be a problem driving approach, to start from problems and not from a theoretical concept. And another panelist said that the most important advantage that is a solution driving approach, because the people are fed up to talk about problems, to talk about causes, and maybe sometimes it's important to start with a solution. This is two different perspectives, and it was very interesting to put on the table. Another aspect put on the table by one of our participants is about resistance of teachers. What happens, because it's not only about the content of social solidarity economy, because in some countries is a new content, but also regarding the methodologies, that horizontal approach that we propose in our program. So a different example was presented here. For example, in Germany, trainers are part of social solidarity economy organization. In some schools are developed schools cooperatives, where teachers are part of these cooperatives together with students, and they are involved in practical activities in order to understand better the model, but to also to develop some specific competencies together with students. I mentioned about training communities and this great opportunity to learn, to put together teachers, students, experts from social solidarity economy, small producers, artisans, and other actors. And they give the opportunity to talk together and to learn, and to be involved in volunteer programs before to teach about social solidarity economy. Another question is, or reflection point was that you are in phase not only a new approach of education, because we are in a phase a traditional education system, but also new approach of social solidarity economy. And you have, it's important to have in mind these two dimensions. And another question posed by Gunther was what kind of competencies are more important for social solidarity economy trainers? And Dražan said that the trainer should be a good listener to allow the participant to express themselves, to have good experience in social solidarity economy, also in theory and in practice, and to be open. And he presented one example: even we will use the same tools, we will obtain different results every time, but you have to be open and to listen in a real way the participant. Regarding some training tools, the participants mentioned study visit, case study, discussion, role tours, which are very important in organize this kind of non-formal education training. And one aspect who was at the end of our discussion, given the fact that you have to listen and to the participant and to let them to express their hope, their expectation, Tatiana put on the table the fact that last year, when she asked people what they want, they did not know to answer to this question. It's a lack of vision in our society, and I think that is an element that you should take in consideration when you work in education. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mihaela, and working group participants. I just want to call your attention because Gunther, the moderator of this working group, just shared with us in the chat his contact in case you want to know more about this work, about the United Nations Research Institution for Social Development, the organization of one of the speakers, and also a webinar organized by Repes International, I guess, in September, that is inviting researchers, practitioners from all continents to share the different approach. It was shared by Laura, and she also put here her email. So if you want to know more information or chat with her a little, that is very pleasant, I can tell you. So please use this email if you want. And now the third working group on youth and SSE, I call Georgia to join us and to share the results.
Hello, thank you for this opportunity. So quite briefly, our working group was related with youth and social solidarity economy. So the first question was about that raised up is why youth? So in this working group, we face youth as a special category, not only because it needs special ways to motivate to act, but it's a category that also the last years, also during the pandemic, it got stigmatized a lot, and with the excuse, let's say, that we're not so much, we as a youth, and not so much into interest for the community. So the first question is why we need special policies and activities for them. So we have a presentation from Ben Oko from Kenya. So the bottom line of their activities there, it's that the young people, they need to feel and be appreciated and recognizable, and we need to find the bridge of the things that they really like to do and the things that they feel that they gain satisfaction and fun in order through these activities to cultivate collective skills and community skills that further on they can use in our everyday life through practical life experience, or they can use to their vocational life and their employment. They are doing activities through sports, through community library and education, and at the end, they also work in employment skills with clothes, fashion, and then through voluntary groups, cooperatives, etc. And then we had Andrea Rodriguez from Spain, and we focus more on we need to speak with the youth as a special category and to create a dialogue, but not like an hierarchical dialogue, not to get patronized, but like a real and equal dialogue in order to consider them as an actor of social transformation and social change, and how through this group we can approach ecological issues, equality, feminism, etc. And at the end, Andreas represents us two projects that they run. The one regarding solidarity tourism, but it's against this gentrification and the way of mobilization of people through tourism in the urban areas that destroy more or less the character and the social life of the areas. And the second is about ethical finance. Mobility, it was also one focus of Andrea regarding youth, since they are the ones that they travel more, but they travel also more for employment and regarding the brain drain, etc. So there are also two reasons that youth we could sit and consider it as a special group to focus on, to address, and to put them at the center of our policy and transformation policies, etc. Thank you.
Thank you. And lastly, about international cooperation, we had experience from two different countries, Mexico and Morocco. And we started with the Mexican experience, mostly, of course, Selena's experience, on education and its change potential, namely popular education, and how the work they are doing with different communities started from the experiential wisdom of participants and partners. Also, how they are working with different communities, from young people that we right now heard about it, to human and other people facing vulnerabilities, schools. After we changed to the Morocco experience, with Asna, and she told us a brief perspective about this kind of education for social solidarity economy in this country, saying that there is some courses to students, some masters, but very few and very connected to the concepts and discussion of concepts, and not so much about practices, what has been doing, how to put these concepts in practice. And that about training, some trainers has some tools about social solidarity economy and different approaches, but it's not a common framework. We discussed a lot this idea of a common framework, because also in our project we had it, but at the same time we could have some adaptation to local needs and local realities. We also discussed the need for a mapping of necessities, and that should be the first stage for any project, any initiative, namely when we are talking about international cooperation, and we need to know different needs from different countries, and then mapping what is being done so far in other countries to initiate this sharing of practices. And some categories were more discussed based on Mexican experience, like social solidarity economy and good living, popular education, community, ecofeminism, economic circuits, democracy, and maybe we can also share the links for publications and books that the Mexican network has with this about these topics. And our discussion was also about
the need to try to expand our project outside Europe, because of course it was a project very focused in Europe, because it's also funded by the European Commission, but the need to, because if the needs are so transversal to other countries and other continents, maybe it's needed to exchange more, to show what we have done, our results, to see what other people are doing in other continents, and reinforce this sharing. And we finished our session and with a remark made by Jason that I think it's important to reinforce here, that is REPASS Europe is creating an online platform to share knowledge and resources, different materials, online courses, provide translations. So we need to pay attention to this online platform that could be very useful for this transnational cooperation, of course. And now that we have the sum up from the working groups, maybe if anyone wants to add some comments, some questions, please feel free. Okay, I will assume this is good, okay? that we have working groups with discussion, and now we are good, but we still have one more, not a presentation, but an intervention. Okay, just one comment from Nitsa that said that she's very excited to be here and that would love to continue learning from us, and I believe us from you. So let's keep in touch. If you want to share your contact, maybe we can start a dialogue. And now we will have a very short closing session just to sum up the session and these last 3 years with Sofia Mora that has spoke today, but I will just say that Sofia has a degree in economics and has worked for 17 years in the field of development and social solidarity economy in APDES, namely implementing and coordinated projects in the APDES line of intervention, social cohesion and employment. Actually, she started this process in 2016 of linking social solidarity economy and the VET system. And of course, she's involved in this current project as well. So thank you so much for your work and for being here. And the floor is yours. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, I'm super happy to be here today. And I think I have three, I mean, we brought three main words for this closing session. The first is celebration. I think it's it's celebrating the power of diversity and the power of community, that it's so present here today. And it has been a discovery in these 5 years of cooperation, in the first 2 years project, and then in this 3 years project, building bridges between the SSE and building bridges with the VET system, so the vocational educational training. So I think we all could recognize and enjoy the diversity and the strength of building communities, both at our local levels where we work more closely, but also at the level of the partnership, I mean, in European terms, and now, and it's so present in, I think, in this seminar, the Builds with Different Continents. I'm so pleased we have presence from Africa, from Latin America, from Asia. So it's, in a sense, it's the end of this project, but it's also a beginning of new cycles of cooperation, I feel, between us all. And it's really good to be also in contact with other continents, because they bring so vibrant and fresh perspectives, which I think are so useful for all of us. So yeah, celebration will be the first word, and then an invitation. I just, the whole partnership wanted to extend this invitation to all the people present here to engage more with the project resources that are available in the website socioeco.org, and as well an invitation to join the training community in FrameVox, which is an open source forum for online discussion. We are sharing the links both for SocioEco and FrameVox in the chat, so you can just enter and follow if you're interested. And yeah, and this training community online would have trainers from the project present, but also everyone who's into SSE and who's into VET, who wants to discuss and exchange more into these topics. So this will be an invitation to really be more closely together and continue the work. And then finally, some reflections which I think are with us, the whole crew of the partnership and the consortium, that were questions from us since the beginning, or that became more and more present. And first of all, what is actually the role of VET? So we are facing and we are trying to build bridges with the VET system, the vocational and educational training. And so what is its role? Is it more to reinforce actual individual skills or competencies that will serve the labor market? And this is one more traditional view. Or is it actually that VET is a piece of a larger puzzle that aims actually to respond to the needs of territories, to build local sustainable development, to reinforce democracy? So through this community-based collective learning. And I feel we are all more inclined into this second perspective, and it is a challenge, of course, to combine this more transformative and systemic approach of SSE, as well with the more formal and tendentially individualistic approach of the VET system. So it's also a mobilizing challenge, I mean. And also the second questions of is there really a fundamental difference in the profile of SSE trainers in comparing to regular VET trainers? It's still a question that I think it's burning for some of us. And I think through the cycles of research and practice that the whole partnership went, we were discovering this importance of building more coherence between the content that we address, and that might be specific, some of them to the SSE, and the methodologies and the ways of approaching training and being together. So what the trainers propose and how they propose, how they live, how they behave, how they are with the rest of people involved, we all discovered it's quite a crucial topic. So there's a call for coherence and a call for integrity in all of these processes. That is also a challenge and a good thing we take from this partnership on to future projects and corporations. So these are interesting questions, I think, for all of us. But we do know, I think, one thing very clearly is that we found that training is has such a potential for advocating for SSE, such a resourceful tool to really push SSE forward, either with people who are not so into SSE, but who are open, curious, and interested to explore the different ways of affirming an alternative economic system, but as well to agents of the SSE who are wanting to enhance their capacity to really affirm these economic alternatives and to build solidarity bonds in their work. So we do believe VET is a strong tool to continue our work. I think this is what moves us all until now, and I think for the future. So yeah, let's allow this power of diversity and community to work through all of us, and to be a founding stone for our future processes of collaboration.
Okay. So I think that before we finish, I just want to thank you first to all the people from the partners involved in the project and in organizing this event: DOC, MES, TechNet, Solidários, CRIES, RIPES Europe, and APDES. To thank all the moderators and speakers, of course, for your great work and your great insights that were the basis for this event. And lastly, all the participants that were with us for 2 hours in an afternoon in July. So thank you so much for being with us. And I hope that we can continue collaborate and exchange. You have our emails, you have the links for Framavoc, as Sophia said, so you are invited to join us. Thank you so much, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye, all.
Thank you. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye and congrats.
Bye.
Obrigada.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Kwaheri. Kwaheri. Bye.